final with the Canadiens, and I just, in your opinion, what does it mean to go to a final with a Canadian team when this is the only game in town? Means everything to so many people, not only in this city, but throughout the country, to try and end this drought, I guess.
Yeah, when I was in Montreal, it was, COVID, and there's no fans in the building. I think we had 3,000 or 4,000 fans. That was it. In a place like the Bell Center, it's not quite the same. So it's a different atmosphere, different animal when you have fans and everything. So we're not putting extra pressure on ourselves to end this drought of Canada. No cup in Canada. We're just focusing on ourselves and what we have to do and what's at stake. I mean, everybody knows what's, the drought's been out there. It's been talked about, and we all know about it. So it doesn't need to be said anymore. It's just a matter of what we have to do.
And Adam, just want to ask you about your personal journey. You started the year in Anaheim. It looked like you'd be well into your summer vacation by now. But coming here and getting an opportunity to play in a cup final, what does it mean for you personally?
Well, it's special. Going into the year, we knew my situation and likely to be traded and moved. And I think the hardest part of all that was not knowing where that would be. And even down to the last day, you're still kind of waiting, okay, where are we going to end up? And then with our family situation, was another twist in the whole thing. But it was exciting to come here to a team with, their aspirations to win the Stanley Cup, and we knew that was, probably going to be, one of the teams that would look into a trade. So once he got here and settled in and kind of got the lay of the land and that sort of thing with the team and the group, and to finally be here, it's only been a few months of me being here, but a lot of guys have been here for a long time, wanting to get to this position, and to be able to come in and help the group get here, I guess, the last few months has been a lot of fun for me and a lot of special moments and for me and my family, and to get another chance at a Stanley Cup.
Adam, 2012, if you're a rookie and you go all the way to the Stanley Cup final, and you're probably thinking, hey, this is great. And, you played 4 games since prior to this year. What do you remember from that? I know it's 12 years ago, but what do you remember from that experience, and how will it help you this time?
It doesn't feel like that long ago. Then it's being a rookie and I guess not fully understanding what it takes every single year to get there. You think, okay, well, we'll just be in the playoffs again next year and hopefully get back here and have another opportunity, but that doesn't happen. There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes and contract situations. There's so much that changes team to team every single year. So, learning that and then not having another opportunity to get back to the playoffs till just traded to Anaheim, and that was a quick in and out. And to be back here and go on a run has been a lot of fun and a lot of special. And for me, it puts that excitement back into the game every day. When you're in a rebuilding situation, it is different. It's hard to go in when you maybe by Christmas time you're not in the playoffs, and then you have to find other ways to motivate, and because you have to stay ready for whatever situation. You're playing maybe for contracts, all that sort of thing. There's a lot that you're playing for, but not the Stanley Cup. So to be here and to have the opportunity again, it's something to not take for granted, that sort of thing, and try to enjoy the lead up to the series and that sort of thing, and try to take it all in. But there's plenty of work to be done for the group in here, and it's exciting to be a part of.
Corey, you've been through this many times. When you face a team from the other conference, you don't see them a lot, right? Obviously, I'm guessing there's not a lot of film work up until you know who you're playing. Does it take time in a Stanley Cup final to really understand the team? And is sometimes the difference in a series is the team that just can figure out the opposition better, quicker?
Yeah, I guess when you play the team twice in a season, and that could be back in October, November. Who knows how long ago you could have played them? So it it could take a little bit of time, but at the same time, like you just said, it's if you can figure it out quick, you're gonna have the upper hand. And it's for me being in Tampa the last couple of years. I've played Florida a few times, and we kind of understand the game they play. And I think everybody understands the kind of the game they play, and the pace they play at, the skill level, and all the above. So if we can figure it out real quick and be confident in our game, it definitely helps for us.
Corey, when you won the first time, you're only like 22 years old in Anaheim. Did you figure, I'm on my way here? You have had to wait an awful long time to get another shot at the Stanley Cup because you played on many other teams in the finals.
Yeah, 17 years ago. It's a while. And, I never had that opportunity to play for a Stanley Cup up until 5 years ago. So, 12 years, 13 years in between. And you never really know if you're going to get back there. Every year goes by and you're out in the first round, second round, the third round, and you're just like, oh, okay, maybe next year. And then they just keep adding up. So, like Adam said, I mean, you can't take anything for granted. And, this being my fourth trip in the last 5 years to the final, it's a lot of work to get here. But at the end of the day, when you have that chance to lift it over your head, it's all well worth it.
And one last one. You shared a moment with Jamie Benn in the handshake line. You must know how hard it is for him because he's been in a couple of late runs and hasn't got to the finals. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, that handshake line for me was hard because I still have a lot of close friends over there. When we were here in the bubble, we were together every single day I think we were here for 78 days, 79 days, and there was nowhere to go. You went from the hotel to the rink, and that was the only thing you had. You had the meal room, and so you spent a lot of time with those guys, and that handshake was tough, and I still talk to him quite a bit, and he's a very good friend, and I know how hard it is to win this league, and and I know how much he wants to win, but I was lucky enough to be on the right side of it.
Thank you.
Sort of along those same lines, within the last hour, Pavelski spoke in Dallas, and the word there is he didn't retire, but said it's probably his last season. Can you share some perspective on his ability and his longevity?
Yeah, Joey and I think we came in around the same time. Or I think we were in the same draft or whatever, and we came in around the same time. I played many games against Joey, and and he was in San Jose and I was in Anaheim, and many battles, and then I had the opportunity to play with him for that year in Dallas. And what a tremendous person, player, and just learning from him. I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's always, as you can see, right up until the other day, he was first guy on the ice, working on his game, working on his craft, and that's just the type of person, player, and pro he really is. And I think you ask anybody around the league, and they're all going to say the same thing.
Corey, just at the back here. Florida's, as you said, you know them pretty well, and they've got a lot of pests like Tkachuk and Bennett, and you go down the list. Does this series kind of suit your eye pretty well? Is this kind of where we could see kind of you?
Why are you laughing?
We got Corey Perry.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way I've played my whole career, and it's just who I am to be effective, and how I've stayed in the league for so long is just adapting to different roles and different things, and it's going to be a fun series. It's I've played against those guys a few times, even the two guys that you mentioned. Even when they were in Calgary, we had a few playoff series against them. So, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Adam, they say that the playoffs makes foes out of friends. You obviously are, the Henrique Knoblauch Foundation. You have your golf tournament outside Six Nations every summer. Is between the two of you and just the challenge of going up against, somebody that you're so close to when it's all on the line like this?
Yeah, you know what, it's pretty special, I think, at the end of the day. He went on a big run last year with them, obviously, and to see the support from back home that he was getting was really cool. And having our tournament together has been something pretty special, I think, for the both of us and for a lot of people back home and for our families, the amount of work that they put in for that to happen. It doesn't run because of me and Brandon, that's for sure. But I've thought about it before, earlier in the playoffs, if this were to happen, what it would be like and if it would be a good thing or not, but at the end of the day, one of us is going to win the Stanley Cup, and I think there's a lot of great people back home that deserve to see one of us lift the cup and to, everything that goes along with that, parades and whatnot. And so it is exciting. There hasn't been much communication, maybe other than between mediator, but I'm sure we'll just leave it at that. And he's a competitive guy. I'm there too. So it's some of the Florida players have been to the tournament the last few years. So it's, at the end of the day, it'll be a fun thing, I think, between the two of us and certainly a nice challenge and certainly a little extra on the line at the Henrique Knoblauch golf tournament this summer.
This is going to be the longest distance traveled between two teams in the Stanley Cup final. I'm just curious about how that long of a travel impacts the series and how you guys prepare for a longer trip than usual in a playoff series. That could be either one of you.
More TV shows.
Yeah. If you got any TV show recommendations, send them along, because I'm running out. Janmark's running out of. Yanni's the TV show guy, so we got to find a bigger jet. But no, I think it's just, again, it's one of those things. You just go with it. It is what it is. It's not changing. There's no way around it. So we just go with it. And you know what? There's so much that the guys here, the strength conditioning, medical guys, like we have everything that we need to not skip a beat with the travel. It's all the necessary preparations will be taken care of, and it just is what it is. So you deal with it and. Get there 2 days before that, we need to, and coming back, there's extra day between those travel days. So, for us, I think it just is what it is, and you take the necessary precautions and that's it.
Morning, Corey. You talked about Joe Pavelski usually being the first guy on the ice. Well, the only guy on the ice today was Griffin Perry.
Yeah.
I ask you, what's it like to have your son taking a moment like this with the gravity of the situation, Stanley Cup final, and having him here for the ride?
Well, it's been a lot of fun. It's like I said earlier. It's the last few years he's been around, but I think now it's starting to kick in that what's at stake, and to have him here and just being around the room every day, it's it's been pretty special. It's if you get that opportunity and you do win and you have your day with it, and to spend that day with family and friends, and then especially young ones, that's what you're looking forward to, and that's what you're putting your mindset towards is having that opportunity to do all that. But at the same time, it's one step at a time, and you take care of business first, and then enjoy everything after that. But to have him around and have him here, and skating and shooting pucks in the back in the shooting room and running around the dressing room, it's been tremendous.
What can you say about the body of work that you guys have put together so far? Matthias Ekholm, I guess we'll start with you.
Yeah, it's obviously it's nice to get a couple days here. At least take a day yesterday with a day off, not having to come to the rink it'd be a first in a while just to do that. And obviously good feeling. We're where we want to be, but at the same time, it's one day we can enjoy it. Then now we kind of move on, turn the page, and start looking at Florida and what we need to do. Because I've been in this. Both of us have been in this position before, and not coming out winning on the last series. So I know how easy it is to get carried away and feel too good about yourself. So it's obviously you're going to enjoy it, but at the same time, you got to turn the page and move on and start focusing on what's coming Saturday night.
Matthias, do you like the extended time between games, or do you kind of want to get things going here?
Yeah, I think it's been a lot lately. We kind of got one Game 7 there against Vancouver and kind of got thrown into this series right away, and a lot of travel and a lot of pressured moments. So, like you said, yesterday was a nice day to just decompose and take a mental rest, and then today kind of turn the heads back on again and looking forward to Saturday.
Hey guys, I just wanted to ask you about playing in Canada and how this is the sport here, and they're not second fiddle to anything else. And what's it like as guys that have come over from Europe to play in Canada? And did you know what the experience would be like before coming in here? If you could start with Ek, if you want to start, and then.
Well, it's amazing when you win, so that much. But I tend to look at it in a way where, we're playing to win. We have a team that is set to do good things out there, and when you have that, you want to be somewhere where people care about it, and good and bad. It's going to be good and bad wherever you are. It's just a little more, I guess, boosted up in a country and in a place like Edmonton where everybody loves hockey and it's like the number one sport. But for me personally, I love it. I think I play the game to win. I'm not playing the game to, if I lose, then yeah, just call me whatever. Like I'm not going to be good, but or very very light for that matter. But when you actually do win, and I'm not going into a season not thinking we're going to be good or not going to win. So personally, I understand everybody that says that there is a lot more pressure. You can feel it, but at the same time, it's a matter of embracing it. And again, as I said earlier, I think playing somewhere where people care so much about it it's just great in my opinion. And I think that pressure is a privilege, and I think that. Some guys look at it differently, but for me personally, I really enjoy it, and especially, as I said earlier, when you win, it makes it a lot better.
Yeah, I think whenever you go on a run like this, you make to the finals, wherever you are, it's a special time, and I think you feel it everywhere you are. But I think in Canada, it probably adds to it a little bit more. People go crazy here. I have my mom here, so she was here for the last game, and we drove home, and she was pretty much filming the whole ride home, saying she's gonna remember it forever. So I think that part of it gets a little more special here. But I think whenever you go on a run like this, it'll be special wherever you are.
Matthias Ekholm, Florida's maybe going to offer a different challenge, a very aggressive forecheck and physical group of forwards. Dallas wasn't like that way, even Vancouver to a lesser extent. As a team, how do you prepare for a team like that, knowing that you got to get your head wrapped around the fact that you're probably going to get hit a lot more, you're going to be pressured more than maybe you did last series? How is that a change for you?
Yeah, I agree. Dallas was a little bit different, but I do think that Vancouver series was a physical series, and I think they had some big guys that really wanted to make their presence known in a physical way. So I do think we've seen it. I do think we've handled it. I thought we handled it really well in that series. But obviously, it's a different challenge, and that's what's great about the sport of hockey, and that's what's great about this run, is that every series seems to be a different style of hockey, and that's what challenges you as a team and as a player. You have to be able to play every single style to be able to hoist it in the end. So for us, it's a matter of, obviously we'll look at what their tendencies are and whatnot, but we know it's going to be physical, and we're up for that challenge. And it's a mental preparation you're going to have to go into. You're going to get hit more, but the one thing that I think personally as a demon coming out of that too is if you can handle that and you can spin off your forechecker or whatever, make a good play defensively, you can actually join the rush too, knowing that, okay, maybe we get a man advantage up ice here. There's been some series that we've played some teams here where it's like, well, you make a great play in the D zone, but they still got 4 guys going through, so it doesn't really matter what you do down there. You're just kind of trying to break it out. So I personally like it, and I think that's where my strengths are, is reading the game and trying to make good plays defensively to join the rush.
Matthias, the penalty kill, it's the second series that you were perfect against LA and Dallas. Leon Draisaitl mentioned that he feels your penalty kill has been able to kind of control the rhythm of the other team's power play. Take me inside of that, and what do you feel you guys have done well almost control the rhythm of what the power play wants to do?
Well, first of all, I think the way we penalty kill, we like to pressure a lot, so that way we kind of ends up doing that, but then it can go the other way too. I think if you take every series and you take the Dallas series, we had a huge game one. We got a lot of kills. I think it was 5, and then it wasn't that many kills every game, but that kind of set the tone, and we kind of got them on their heels a little bit, and that way we could dictate the tone. But that being said, like, it's going to restart here against a new team, and we got to put in the same work we did early in that series, and then maybe we can do the same to them.
It's really for both of you. After the game, Zach said that this season has felt like 10 seasons with the roller coaster that the team's been on, from the really low lows to the really high highs. How do you think that mentally prepares you now for a Stanley Cup final?
I think it has a lot to do with it. I think that has a lot to do with that we're here right now. I think you look at when I got traded here last year, we went on a run to finish the regular season, and we didn't really hit any adversity, and then we hit adversity in the playoffs, and it's like, oh, what's this? We haven't seen this for months. But this year, I truly feel like being down in the trenches, being down, we basically hit rock bottom. You learn a lot about your teammates. You learn about yourself. You learn about your team. And I think that's the lessons that we've been able to apply, because I feel like we have done a really good job not being fragile, so to speak, in playoff series, because the momentum shifts so much in between games. And I mean, we had an emotional, tough loss in game one against Vancouver, but we didn't let that linger. We kind of got right back out there. And I think those early lessons in the year helps you with that. And again, I think that's a big part of why we're here.
Matthias, this might sound like a dumb question, and I've asked a few over the years, but it was hot and humid in Dallas. And was it different playing there in terms of from an energy level? And because I'm thinking you might see the same sort of thing in Florida. Is it a different experience for the players, also compounding the difference in the ice conditions as well?
Ice conditions, now you're getting to where I was going to go with that question. It's like, I thought the ice was very different from what we have here. I think we're also pretty spoiled about how good of the ice is here on a nightly basis, but I thought whether that has to do with the heat and the humidity, I don't know, but I thought that the ice was a bit slower in Dallas. I thought it was, you could definitely feel a difference. So I guess it's good that we had that experience already, and if it is the same in Florida, I don't know. It tends to be a little bit about every building has a different way of doing it, so I can't really answer that question, but hopefully having that experience of being in a place that is same conditions may help us. I don't know.
Matthias Janmark, you played in Dallas. Like, do you notice a difference when you go back there or play in those Sun Belt markets with the ice conditions at all?
Actually, when I played there, I always thought it was pretty good ice, and then I went to Chicago, and it was the COVID year, and I went back, and I didn't like it at all, and yeah, so when I played there, like I said, I thought it was pretty good, so I don't know if it's changed since then, but you run into buildings like that, so it's nothing you're not used to, and you can adjust to it pretty quick. It's the same for both teams, so.
Tom would have panicked. Question for Matthias Ekholm. This is from Cam Tate, actually. You mentioned that pressure is a privilege. He was just wondering kind of when you first adopted that, maybe first heard that, liked it, and adopted that idea.
Well, it comes, I guess, with experience, and it comes with being in those moments. I think I remember we played with Nashville. A couple of my first playoff series I think it was against Chicago when they had their, call it a dynasty or whatever, when they won a couple of cups there, or 3, I guess. But they had all those teams, and it just seemed like they weren't really bothered by it. They were going about their business, and they just seemed unfazed by any sort of pressure or any moment or whatever. And I thought then and there, it was a learning curve and a learning process for me, and just seeing that. And then I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be in the playoffs every year pretty much in my career, and you get in those moments again, you got to kind of learn how to handle it, learn how to live with it, and then at the end, I think you find somewhere throughout the career. I can't tell you when it was for me, but you got to understand that pressure is something good. It's people do believe that you are good, and that comes both as a player and as a team. And yeah, I don't know. That was kind of a long answer, but I think that's somewhere in there. You kind of learn how to deal with it, and then you kind of need some experience on the way.
Matthias, just to follow up on that, there was a great shot on Oilers Plus taking us inside the dressing room. Everyone was so calm after that massive victory in Dallas in Game 5, excuse me. Do you feel like the team also feels the same way about the pressure you guys feel?
I do, and I think that playing Vancouver in a second series, in a second round, with all that hype and all that pressure and all that stuff going on, whether it was here or in Vancouver, I think winning out of a series like that, I think it kind of calms everything down. It's almost like we got past, I'm not saying the big hurdle, because every hurdle gets bigger the further you go in the playoffs, but I do think that series was like, okay, well, this is pretty much as intense as it can get, but I'm sure it's going to be even more intense now where we're in the finals. But that's kind of was my feeling, at least coming out of that series and going into round 3. So I do think we have felt a calmness after that, and I thought we, as I mentioned earlier in the question, like I feel like we've grown a lot from last year, is that we're not that fragile about things happening, losing a big lead, whatever in a game. It's just a reset and it's on to the next game, and that's what the playoffs is all about. You can't let it linger from game to game. You can't be down on yourself because you played one bad game. It's just first to 4. It doesn't matter how you do it. So I do think there is a calmness with that within the team, just knowing that we've been through it, so to speak.
For the Matthiases, Florida just was in the Stanley Cup final last year, which would seem like a big advantage. So I'm wondering, for guys who have been there before, what it was like the first time and how long it takes you to get acclimated and settled in.
Yeah, I think speaking for me, like it's a lot of emotions involved, especially when you win the conference final. And you get the trophy and whatnot, and the hats and everything. It's a lot of emotions involved, and sometimes maybe when I was in the bubble, so we kind of got thrust into the series right away, and now we get some time to handle it. But that could be one thing. But like I said, and I think we got time now to handle those and get ready for the final. But that would be the one thing that maybe changed the second time around.
Yeah, I can just jump in quick on that, and I think that the way like every final is different, obviously, but we had a team that hadn't seen, I think we had one guy or something that had seen a final before, and one thing that maybe we did consciously or not, but I mean, we obviously got off to a rough start. We lost both on the road, and it was almost like it took a game and a half to where we figured out that, we have to play hockey too. It's not just a big all-star game or a big showcase. So that's something that I remember, that maybe a lesson that I learned in that was that everything before, like it's a lot of media, it's a lot of requests left and right, but and we have some days to take care of that, so that's great. But when we come 8 o'clock Eastern on Saturday night, we got to be dialed in, ready to go, because if you dip your toe in the water too long, it's over in a heartbeat. So that'd be one thing I'd add to that, and which was my experience.
When it comes to lineup decisions and such, you don't like to change a winning lineup necessarily, but maybe a different lineup is more effective against Florida than beats Dallas. So how much do you sort of take into account, the guys that won that series for you versus this is a different opponent, and maybe a different type of player succeeds in this series?
Yeah, as a coaching staff, you've always got that decisions to make on what your team needs. If you're playing a physical team, you often match them and you want to become more physical. If you're playing a faster team, you want players on your team that can skate better. But you also run the risk of, if you become more physical, you probably get a little bit slower. And if they're a physical team, you want to probably play a faster game. So it's kind of a balancing act on, do you want to counter what they have, play to their strengths, or do you want to play to your strengths? So I think for the biggest thing right now is who's playing our best hockey and inserting those guys rather than trying to counter what they have.
I think I've asked you in every series about the physicality from your team. Do you expect it to be the most physical that you've seen so far in the playoffs, and how do you feel your group is equipped to dictate or deal with that?
I think we've handled it well. I think, you look at the hit totals after every game, and you think about, the team that has more hits is more physical. And, I think about some of the games in the Dallas where we were very high on that hit total, higher than we usually are. And, sometimes that says you don't have the puck enough. We want to be a physical team. We want to hit. I think we've had some physical series, and some more than others. I think we were more physical in the Dallas series on the finished checks. But as for what we've seen so far, for the physicality for a series, the series against Vancouver was probably our most physical series or opponent. Now, as physical as Vancouver was, I expected to be even more against Florida.
So back here. Chris, do you have any update on Evander Kane? Do you expect him to be able to start the series for you?
I do. I don't believe he'll skate tomorrow. I think he'll be on the ice Friday and playing on Saturday.
You just mentioned a lot of the physical aspects. Do you think this is a series that can kind of suit his eye a little bit better, and that he could be a bit more significant, given that the Panthers are a little bit more pesky and maybe play after the whistle more than some of the other teams you face in the playoffs?
Whatever they choose to do, I'm not sure. We'll be playing hard between the whistles like we always do, and there's stuff that happens after the whistles. We're going to avoid that. We're going to just play hockey between the whistles and play our best. I think that we want to be making plays, and I think we defend well, and we don't want to get away from that. And they've got their style of hockey that they want to play, and there's a style that we want to play, and we're going to try and adhere that as much as we can.
Chris, do you know Paul Maurice at all?
I do. I actually interviewed for a position with him in 2015, and that was the first time I met him, but I do know Paul.
Where was that?
That was in Winnipeg. I met him at the draft. I think maybe that was 2015. That was a pretty special draft. That was in Florida.
Was that one of those ones you had to sell yourself to him, or what? Because you didn't obviously get the job.
I was young. I don't think I was what he was looking for. But I remember Paul being very, very kind and almost offered to be a mentor for me if I needed to reach out and talk to him, and which I did. A couple of years later, when I went to Philadelphia, I reached out about my possibilities of becoming an American League head coach or going to the NHL as an assistant, and I remember him giving me advice. So, I don't know him very well, but I do know him.
One last one. So does it, when you're going up against a guy who's coached 130 playoff games and you somewhere behind that, do you look at the guy on the other bench at all?
I look at what our team's doing and what we need. Obviously, through the pre-scout and our preparation, we have to know what the Florida Panthers are doing and where they're successful. But, it's just have to worry about our team.
Morning, Chris. How much has this team fed off of Corey Perry since he arrived in Edmonton?
Well, I think Corey's been a great addition to our team. With his play, the game within the game, those little things that he does very well. But I think his leadership has been the strongest part. You've got a team you got a player who's gone through pretty much everything. Stanley Cup Finals, Stanley Cup Championship. I think he's been just another piece to our our team, adding that leadership aspect, where I think we've got a lot of that in that room, but I think he just adds a little more of it, just having the success that he has.
When you had to take him out of the line, by all accounts, Corey was still the exact same teammate and being cheerful around the guys. Can you describe the impact of that mindset and having that mindset and how that kind of maybe impacts the guys who are playing each and every day on the ice?
Well, I think the guys just have so much respect for him, you know, through it all. Like, and you know, he's spoken up in the dressing room, said how things have to be better or what we're doing well and all those things. And when he speaks, the guys listen just because of his resume. And you know, when he wasn't playing during the playoffs, you know, he didn't change. He was still optimistic about you know, coming back in the lineup, helping when he can. But even when he was not playing, he was supportive of all his teammates and wanting the team to have success.
Hey, Chris, we're here. You're going to get asked this question about 1,000 times from now to the end of the series, but I want to ask you about the pressure that comes along with being a Canadian team in the final and trying to end this drought.
I think with a team, it's all about accomplishing something for the guys in the room. You know, they feel very close. They're tightly knit. And they've been through a lot of ups and downs, and they've been a lot of the, especially our veterans, our you know, Connor and Leon, Ryan, Darnell have been through this for quite a long time. They want to win for each other. I think that's the biggest thing. And the other part of it is wanting to win for the city. Obviously, you saw the support after Game 6 against Dallas, and you know, that's exciting. And you know, they want to continue that, and because they felt the support, they want to return that favor. And now, you know, for the rest of Canada, yeah, they can jump on board too. All the support we can get is great. But I think the biggest thing is, you know, wanting to win it for each other in that room.
We had 4 guys up here that have been to a cup final. I guess how important it is having that experience of guys that know what it's like, know what kind of a circus that can be, and just trying to keep the focus on the ice.
Yeah, I think the more guys, the better. And the Stanley Cup final is different. You know, there's more media requests, there's more interviews, there's just more attention, there's more things in the papers. And I think it's good just to have those guys who've gone through it all and just settling everything down and making it feel like just a regular game. Because we just want our players to worry about playing the game, and when they're on the ice, just being able to focus and playing. And if you get too caught up in everything else that's going on, it often easily, guys get distracted. But having those guys who've gone through it before just eliminates those distractions and allows everyone to just control the controllables, control what's important, and what's important is just playing your game.
Chris, can you kind of take us through your plan, maybe a little bit leading up to this? You a little bit more time off. You're going to skate tomorrow. I'm guessing you'll skate on Friday. How much of this is, you know, an opponent that you don't see a lot of, but preparing yourself, but making sure that you don't over-prepare your players and try not to make the moment bigger than it is?
Yeah, I've always believed in, you know, if you give too much information to the players, there's paralysis by analysis. There's just, you can't focus on everything. You focus on everything, you end up focusing on nothing. So it's important that we give the guys the details that are important to play, but if we give them too much, it's just, it hampers their game. And we just, you know, so for our preparation, we're going to focus on what is Florida's identity? What are they good at? And what are the things that we need to do well to eliminate their strengths? And the rest of it, we'll just have to play our game. Because if we, like as I said before, focus on everything, it's not beneficial for us.
This will be your first Stanley Cup final. Do you have a most memorable or favorite Stanley Cup you remember as a kid or teenager or young adult?
'93 Stanley Cup Finals. You know, last year a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup. That would be my most memorable time.
So just a bit of a follow-up to what Derek was asking. You're playing a team that has a ton of Stanley Cup final experience. They were just there last year. Is that an edge that you guys have to overcome, and how do you do that quickly?
Yeah, experience is good. I don't know how much experience is, you know, beneficial. You can ask the Buffalo Bills how important Super Bowl experience is. But I think the biggest thing is just having confidence to play. And, you know, when our guys are playing their best, they should have a lot of confidence.